We're really excited for today's session where we're going to be talking about some kind of ways that you can look at leveraging Smartsheet as well as some of your existing business tools to really enhance and optimize ways that you might be managing grants and any kind of components from the grant management life cycle. Just a little bit about Optimum for this call. Again, we are similar spaces to being IT consultants and solution implementationers. So what we do is we basically configure and kind of consult and advise on solutions regarding to Smartsheet or your existing tech stack. With me on the call, I've got Tiger Hamilton, our resident kind of Smartsheet expert developer. We're coming from the technical side of things, so there's no more sales components that we're going to talk about, at least here. We really want to show the art of the possible and to drive inspiration and insights for your guys to maybe look at enhancing your existing solutions or part of something that you might be evaluating. So without further ado, we're just going to hop right in because we have a pretty jam-packed agenda today. We're going to show you a lot of these things in motion on how to actually leverage some of the tools within Smartsheet. So we understand that, y'all have a lot of, issues and just operational inefficiencies within grants and the grant operations as itself. We see a lot of kind of challenges that folks might come into, whether it's managing kind of the prospecting pipeline or the grants that are live within your operations, setting up maybe the applications and the content reviews, or doing the award evaluation and analysis kind of segments, all the way through managing the actual financial kind of monitorings, subcontractors and recipients kind of management, as well as budgeting or kind of contract management within, all while trying to report on the efficacy and the performance for these grants. Oftentimes, we see folks kind of come into solutions where they're leveraging some additional sales tools, or if it's a CRM, maybe they're pulling in project financials or operational financials from an ERP or an accounting tool, leveraging everyone's favorite good old Excel files or even Word documents to try to synthesize this large kind of grant operations hub. So for today, what we're going to showcase is kind of a high level day in the life or potential work stream through prospecting all the way through kind of closeout and audit for grant operations. So we'll kind of go through this at a high level and then we'll see this in motion as Tiger kind of walks through. So we'll kind of kick things off as ways to centralize the information from a prospecting or grant portfolio operations. Things about how to maybe log grants that you're kind of tracking over time, or to tie into existing tools like your CRMs, if you're doing that for general kind of nurturing and engagement. From there, we're going to look at leveraging some premium tools within Smartsheet's application to manage a broader portfolio, to start to templatize some of the day in the life assets that for grant management, whether that's building out specific work plans or compliant registrations, doing things like the budget and the compliance reporting, subrecipients, contact information, or that contract cycle that we did through, as well as maybe some more unique applications to take the data that you're managing today within the grants, generating custom documents, and then using that to kind of aggregate all this information into a broader portfolio report. So as we're going through this cycle, again, this is more to draw inspiration. There's several hundreds and thousands of different types of grants. So hopefully you can gather some insights and maybe some ideas from what we're showcasing today to help streamline and improve your processes leveraging tools within the Smartsheet tech stack. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Tiger formally. Tiger, I'll let you take it from here and get into the meat and potatoes.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. As mentioned before, we would definitely appreciate any questions or comments you have throughout this demo and art of possible. So this is where we're going to start, and we're actually going to come back to at the end. This is the view your leadership team opens when they want to know where things stand across your entire grant portfolio. No emails, no status meetings, no spreadsheet that someone has to remember to update. Across the top, you've got the portfolio at a glance. How much is in the pipeline? How many awards are active? How many are pending a decision? And how many are flagged at risk? Live numbers updated as your team works. Down here is every active grant grouped by health status, green, yellow, and red. You can see immediately which awards need attention today without asking anyone. That red grouping, which I could click and see the details right now, we'll get to those in just a moment. And over here, your upcoming application deadlines surface automatically. Anything approaching in the next 90 days is visible right now. This is the kind of thing that prevents a deadline showing up in someone's inbox the week before it's due. Think about what it takes in your organization right now to produce this picture. We have a lot of great info. So, how did we get here? Before any grant is active, someone has to decide whether it's worth pursuing. That decision usually lives in an email thread or a conversation, and then it kind of disappears. But here it's structured. Each opportunity has a status, a priority, and a recommendation. Do we pursue it? Do we not? Or do we defer and revisit this later? When your development team and your program team are looking at the same list, you stop having the same conversation twice. All decisions have value here. Knowing what to pursue is important. Knowing what you've intentionally walked away from and why is just as important. That reasoning is documented, so it doesn't have to be reconstructed 6 months later. And once the team decides to move forward, an automation can push that grant directly to the grant tracker. No copying, no re-entering anything. It brings it over to to the next phase. Now, if your organization is already managing funder relationships in a CRM like Salesforce, we can actually skip this step entirely. With the Salesforce connector, we can um, we can bring the CRM into the grant tracker. There's no need to maintain two records of the same funder. The work stays connected whether you're in Salesforce or working in Smartsheet. Either way, let's go to the grant tracker. This is the hub. Every grant, active, pending, awarded, closed, is in one place. Not a separate file for federal awards, another for state, another for foundations, one tracker. We can also immediately see the Salesforce integration. If I want to navigate to the CRM, that link is right here, and I can see the details. A healthy award looks something like this. It's going to have all the details your team needs to make the right decisions at the right time. In this case, we have things like funding source, period of performance, reporting frequency, the next report due, budget remaining, and project health all in one row. A program manager can tell at a glance whether this award is on track without opening anything else. Now, here's one of those awards that was showing red on the dashboard. Look at the notes. Someone on the team flagged a risk and documented it, and that surfaced immediately on the leadership view. One update, one row, visible across the organization. In most places, that conversation happens days later, or when there's a fire that needs to be put out. Now, once the team decides to pursue an opportunity, that's actually when Smartsheet's, what I like to call magical engine control center, can kick off a project folder. So the timeline, the budget, and application materials can all be set up and ready before the award is even confirmed. And when it's awarded, that same folder connects back to the grant tracker, feeding things like the project health, end date, and budget automatically. It also gives us a handy link to the project dashboard. This is the project dashboard that Control Center provisions for each award. We can quickly see the project progress, the team on this project, health, and statuses. Notice the quick links at the top. From here, your program team can jump directly to the sheets they use the most: the budget tracker, the compliance register, reporting calendar, subrecipient log. And it's not just within Smartsheet. We can also add relevant external links. So there's no navigating around. The things they need are one click away. Below, we got some key metrics for this award: budget status, upcoming deadlines, some compliance flags, outstanding items. Your program team never has to hunt things down, and everything they update here feeds back into the grant tracker automatically. Now, many grants, especially federal awards, involve subrecipients, community partners, subgrantees, contractors. Each of those relationships requires a signed agreement before work can begin and payments can flow. This sheet tracks every recipient, their risk tier, monitoring schedule, SAM registration status, audit requirements, insurance, and whether their agreement is on file. When something is outstanding, an audit not submitted, SAM registration lapsed, a corrective action plan under review, it's flagged here and surfaces on the dashboard. No one is surprised by a subrecipient compliance issue at the worst possible moment. Getting those agreements signed is where DocuSign connects. Instead of emailing a PDF, waiting, following up, and manually filing the signed copy, a DocuSign workflow is triggered directly from Smartsheet. It can map fields that in the document based on the data in the sheet. This agreement goes out for e-signature, and when it's executed, the status updates here automatically, and it attaches the signed document to the row. For organizations managing multiple subrecipients across multiple grants, that alone saves significant administrative time. The same DocuSign workflow applies to staff certifications, reporting sign-offs, and any other document that needs a signature in the grant lifecycle. The last piece of the workspace that we're going to visit is where budgeting happens. Your financial actuals, personnel, equipment, contractual, indirect costs are logged here by category with an approval process on each line and status tracking on each line item. For teams that track spending directly in Smartsheet, this can be submitted through a form where staff enter expenditures as they occur and they come straight into this log. If instead your finances are only and tracked into through an ERP or accounting system, you know the drill. Sometimes someone exports that data, reformats it, and manually updates this report, and 2 hours later, it's already outdated. Every month for every grant. Data Shadow eliminates that. It handles the connection, and I apologize, I have to move my Zoom Zoom things. It handles the connection between your financial system and Smartsheet. So your team brings the data in and it maps directly into the structure. When it's time to report to your funder, the numbers are already there. No exporting, no reconciling to separate files. That's the full operational picture for a single award. Now, let me show you how this scales. So the question that we often hear at this point, this looks great in this demo, but how does this work in real life? And what about when you're managing 20 or 50 at once? Do we have to rebuild and connect all of this every time? And the answer is no. That's where this comes in. This is the master template for everything you've seen today. The information captured during the early stages, identifying an opportunity, submitting the application, getting awarded, that context carries forward. When a new award is provisioned, it already has the relevant project details connected back to the grant tracker. So that high-level visibility is there from day one. And the blueprint provides a solid, proven foundation, but it's not a rigid one. Every grant is different. Some have subrecipients, some don't. Some teams manage their reporting one way, others have their own process. The structure is consistent, but there's room to adapt it to the uniqueness of each project and accommodate the way your team actually works. The value isn't just a better system for one grant, it's that the system gets more valuable as your portfolio grows. All right. Let's go back to where we started. What you've seen today is one connected system, and it works whether you're starting from scratch in Smartsheet or bringing in data from the tools you already use. Funder relationships tracked right here, or flowing in from a CRM like Salesforce. Expenditures entered through a form, or from your ERP through Data Shuttle. Agreements flowing from and executed through DocuSign while keeping your spreadsheet up to date. All of it feeding back to the portfolio view leadership needs, built on a foundation that scales. So there's no reconciliation, no chasing updates, no one owning the master spreadsheet. If you want to see what this looks like mapped to your organization, your grants, your systems, or your team, that's a conversation we'd love to have. For now, are there any questions?
There are a few questions, Tiger, if you want to go ahead and address those. So the first
Perfect.
question is the Salesforce connector an add-on feature to the Smartsheet licensure?
The answer is yes, it is an add-on to the Smartsheet core licensing.
And I'll follow up that too. One of the benefits within the Smartsheet platform, so they have these tools like the Salesforce connector, which are very accessible to users to do kind of a field mapping from your CRM data, specifically Salesforce, into Smartsheet. But Smartsheet does have an open API that allows us to connect to, any other applications or tools in its own mean of method. So yes, there's a tool, but there's also other paths that we can kind of connect those applications together.
Great. Thank you both. Second question is, does Smartsheet integrate with Workday?
Yeah, I can grab this one, Tiger. So, kind of following up on the heels of the last response from the question, there are some tools that you can connect to Workday because Smartsheet has that API, and the API is basically a method for users to connect tools between systems. That can be done. I know that there's some elements in development for a native integration, kind of like that Salesforce connector. That's something that they can follow up with the Smartsheet team to kind of explore that further in greater detail. Now, Data Shuttle is another good way to connect systems in. That's not a kind of coding way, and it's still user friendly. What Tiger is pulling up on the screen right now is basically the Data Shuttle interface, and that works on a file export and then import kind of motion. So you're basically mapping in a feed from Workday or from even other financial tools into the application. So it's just basically drag and drop an Excel file into a destination. In this case, we're showing it as an upload to the sheet, but that could be to like a SharePoint file or a Google Drive file, and that initiates the sync from there.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Next question is there a funder version of the system?
Yeah, so this one is, obviously mapped for the person receiving the grants and managing those, but we can definitely recalibrate this so it's someone managing fund applications or applications for grants. So we can definitely map it differently.
Great. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tiger. Next
And
question.
Oh, Chris,
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
yeah, just a follow-up to too. So, and that's part of the beauty of the platform. So this is one scenario that can be modeled. Now, a lot of folks that we work with will leverage the collaboration functionalities or features of Smartsheet to kind of collaborate. So while this is kind of a general grant application, you could have the funders basically spin up a portal like this and then have the recipients manage their work inside of these own portals or solutions and then have that as the observation. There's also fully customizable. So these sheets and kind of these dashboards that Tigers put together for the solution today, you can modify. It's Excel friendly. So if you have dated or old Excel files that you're currently managing those, we can basically, I say we, even you can import and kind of convert those to a Smartsheet based solution that's similar to this. So again, kind of an inspiration, but you certainly can build that. And there are templates out there, both in the Smartsheet ecosystem or templates that we have to kind of showcase that as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to add to one of the benefits of doing this in Smartsheet is we can also sort of grade the applications and you can sort and filter and prioritize, which applications you want to approve and which ones are you're going to decline on. So there's a lot of flexibility in what we do here and what it looks like for you. But the overall concept would be could be similar.
Perfect. Thank you both. Next question is, can we link to banner system?
Yes. Yes is the short answer. And this kind of goes back again to the earlier comment I have is there's a variety of ways to do so. Data Shuttle is a very quick way to connect. And again, that's within that file transfer. Both applications do have an API. So if you're looking for more of a seamless integration between the two, those can be connected in that function. So you have a couple of paths to success in that channel.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Next question is there any way that grants can be separated by private, state, and federal in the system?
Yeah, so this is actually one of the reasons why I always preferred Smartsheet over some other software tools that exist when I was a customer is that we have this flexibility. So right now I'm showing this portfolio dashboard, which is everything rolled up into one area. I can break this down and have these filtered by into those categories. I can even have it filtered, for example, by PI and see only the projects that they're or grants that they're working on. So there's definitely flexibility of being able to take this high level view and then take it a step down and parse out those details based on what's happening in your work today.
And just pairing off of that too, this certainly a centralized and consolidated view. You may see some trace elements even on the dashboard here that mostly that filter option at the top. That's some upcoming features from Smartsheet. If you're not enrolled in the early adopters program, that gives you some kind of insights to some new things that can add some of that functionality for filtering out by types of grants. Beyond just that visual filter, this could be additional drop-down columns that you might have inside of this, this grant tracker log from here to classify those. Alternatively, you could have an entirely separate template for federal versus state or any other subtypes of grants within the classification. They can still be bubbled up and reported together to form that comprehensive portfolio. Essentially, copy paste what you see here and then kind of flavor it for that different tier or type of grant.
Perfect. Thank you both. Next question is, how do you add a link in the grant dashboard link column?
Great, that's a great question. So what I showed you here today, this was actually generated for me by Control Center. So once Control Center provisions the template, which is this folder of all the things that we need or might need for our project, it automatically adds the link here. Another way we can add links is I hit Control K on my keyboard, and I can either add a link directly to that workspace or in the grid view, I can look up a Smartsheet item and link it there. So hyperlink to another Smartsheet and then find that sheet and link it. So obviously this can be done manually. What Control Center does is take a lot of the manual work of linking the information to or from and doing that automatically for us. Hopefully that answers your question, but if you have any others, please feel free to follow up.
Great. Thank you, Tiger. Next question is, do you have a service team that will maintain integration as things change?
I can grab that one. So there's a couple paths of success for that. So one of the tools that we've kind of highlighted in here is Control Center. And that is basically an engine to not only provision out a template or a solution like this, but it also has that kind of maintenance engine inside of it. So when you build a solution or work with a partner to design or develop a tool set like this, it's kind of a set it and forget it, and you won't have to, worry about any kind of system updates or configurations from there. That's at least related to kind of the core Smartsheet content, so the sheets, reports, and dashboards we see here. Things like that Salesforce connector is because it's an add-on tool from Smartsheet. It is also maintained. So again, that's a set and forget. Once you set up the initial kind of field mapping and configuration, it will run in kind of perpetuity. Now, the reality is there might be some kind of update, but those tools will have kind of an alert if there are already impacts and give you a point to kind of resolve that. For things like maybe a direct integration to Cognos, for example, or if we're doing an API build, those are also relatively shelf stable. Though those are typically more tailored workflows where you might need to, if you change the name of a column or a mapping or something like that, there may be an impact. So it depends, but for the most part, these solutions are pretty stable once they're built. That you don't have to have any dedicated personnel or staff to maintain that connection once established.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Next question is there an opportunity to discuss pricing for the add-on feature or features?
Yes. On this call again, we try to bring the technical folks to answer all those questions. At the tail of this webinar, we'll definitely follow up with some actions for you to reach out to your account managers, and then if you're an existing Smartsheet client, they will be reaching out to you all for some updates here. So they'll be able to handle the pricing information for many of the tools, whether that's Data Shuttle, the Salesforce Connector, Control Center, or even just the platform in general.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. And last question that we have so far is how can we get step-by-step instructions to create the dashboard?
Tiger, do you want to flip a coin on this one?
So the step-by-step instructions we don't necessarily have. You can reach out and we can work with you to set it up. There are templates within Smartsheet that you can download, which is a very simple base structure to get started from that you can develop and continue to modify. But as far as step-by-step instructions, Smartsheet is no code, so we're using regular charts and reports and things like that that exist within this environment. But I don't have a
Okay.
step-by-step process. I apologize.
And Tiger, maybe if you go back to let's just go to the grant tracker. So something too that is available and this depends on which plan of Smartsheet you're on. There are some tools within Smartsheet that might make beyond kind of what Tiger showcased about building a custom dashboard. Um, yeah, Tiger, we can build some charts with AI here. So essentially what this allows you to do, and this is part of the benefit of ad hoc demos, right? You're going to see something in motion. Um, is essentially you can basically open up some of these AI charts or AI built dashboards and just point it to look at a specific sheet and then maybe ask a question. So maybe you want to just do grant type by distribution, for example. So it will give you prompts for you to kind of say like, yeah, do you want to use a pie chart for this? Or maybe you want to enhance kind of this as a line chart. So there's widget-based ways that you can build these dashboards where you don't have to know how to do the calculations or the formatting for these reports. This is at a widget-based view on a portal. Equivalently, you can actually create a dashboard from scratch using AI. And Tiger, maybe let's just take a peek at that. So maybe if we go to the add to collection or to the sheet,
Sorry.
we'll just create a new dashboard to the workspace. So dashboard.
Oh, yes.
So this is the newer AI built dashboards, for example. So you can kind of generate a custom prompt within here to say, maybe I want to be a grant portfolio manager. We're just going to grab one that says maybe build charts to highlight insights and opportunities. So you can build it a custom prompt or select a recommended prompt. And similar to that kind of widget on the dashboard, you can select a series of sheets and what Smartsheet will do is look at the information from your sheets, whether that's the grant tracker, the spending, the kind of contractors, vendors, recipient management. It will start to kind of construct some trends and insights for your dashboards. So this might take a little bit to kind of churn as it's processing that information, but this is an easier way to kind of collect that information and present on screen. So again, live demo folks here. So this might be a little delayed loading in here, but really that the content from there is around it can be accessible to the users to build out if you're non-technical or if you want a fast-paced way to kind of build out some of these visualizations. So Smartsheet's made a ton of enhancements around the AI tools and use cases within the platform, like doing things like doing sheet analysis or building out components for you that might scratch that itch. So we'll let that churn in the background, maybe come back to it once it's done loading. It's probably just frightened because there's so many people looking at it right now, but yeah.
Stage fright. But along those AI, lines, some of the things that Smartsheet is including are things like formula helper. So being able to see what a formula is, understanding it, or even being able to use common language to write the formula, which is really handy when you have something a little bit more complex. But a lot of opportunities for AI here. And I think, yeah.
Yeah, we might kick that one down the line on the layered ones. But yeah, any other questions from the audience?
I think that is all the questions that we have for right now.
Excellent.
Nope.
Great. I
Um,
think that there's one last question that maybe popped in is the offered again. So I know that this session is recorded and will be distributed out in the next day or so. So if you missed it, it will be available. We do webinars with Carahsoft all the time, and there may be some specializations from this kind of generic grant management and general showcase. Some of the things that I think were requested from this group here were things like the funders kind of variant of that, or maybe you're managing block grants. So be tuned. That's certainly content that in the future we may kind of host like subsets or specializations. So if you didn't see anything today, we may invite you to either ask a question in the chat so we can either review that in the use case, or certainly even from this page here, get in touch with us. And the us is the royal we, so Carahsoft, Smartsheet, and Optimum. This is probably the best way for you to kind of get engaged is to kind of follow up that QR code and a reference link there. That'll put you in touch with kind of the development team. They can answer questions around product pricing, features, services, stuff like that. Get us connected if you're ever curious about seeing maybe a more nuanced or a one-on-one kind of showcase where we can review those applications specifically. So.